Good evening. Welcome to the State of Business on our television with me, Tirantha Gunawardana. Let's take a look at today's headlines first. President Maithripala Sirisena meets with senior police officers. And inflation expected to remain below 5% in the short term, says Additional Director of Central Bank's Economic Research Department. In our top story today, President Maithripala Sirisena held a discussion with senior police officers yesterday at the President's office to discuss the progress of the implementation process of the proposals to solve issues pertaining to junior level personnel of the police department. These proposals were drafted on the instructions of the President to ensure a satisfied and contented police service that could attend to the public well, and the proposals include steps for the welfare of policemen and policewomen. President Sirisena instructed the senior officers to take steps to increase health facilities, allowances of the police personnel, and emphasized the need for regular medical checks and steps to ensure a healthy police force. Discussions were also held regarding the improvement of the facilities at the police hospital in Narayanpeta, and the President issued instructions to purchase the vacant land belonging to the Urban Development Authority for the expansion of the hospital. He also instructed officials to amend the national environmental regulations to give the police power to take legal action to implement the ban on polythene. Secretary to the President Udaya R. Seniviratna, Secretary of several ministries, Police Chief Pooji Jayasundar and other senior officers were present at this discussion. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka yesterday held a press briefing regarding the second monetary policy review, where CBSL announced that it had decided to maintain policy rates. Speaking at the press conference, Dr. Chandranath Amarasekara, the Additional Director of the Economic Research Department of the Central Bank, elaborated upon the global factors that prompted the Central Bank to maintain policy rates.
The global monetary policy tightening has been put on hold. If you look at the recent monetary policy stance of major economies around the world, Federal Reserve, Bank of England, and the European Central Bank, they have all signaled the global growth slowdown and the need to maintain a dovish or a more patient approach to with regard to monetary policy. And the Reserve Bank of India has also reduced their policy interest rates twice so far during the year. Just last week, they reduced the policy repo rate by 25 basis points to 6%. And the perceived delay in further rate hikes by the Federal Reserve has triggered some foreign investment inflows to emerging market economies.
Dr. Amarasekara also mentioned the following regarding domestic economic conditions.
Looking at domestic economic conditions, we have seen subpar economic growth continuing. Real GDP growth for 2018 was recorded at 3.2% during the year, following an upward revised 3.4% growth in 2017. If you remember, earlier DCS estimated 2017 real GDP growth at 3.1%. That has been revised upwards to 3.4%. From there is a slowdown in real GDP growth to 3.2%. If you look at some major figures with respect to GDP, in US dollars billion, GDP has increased from 88 billion in 2017 to 88.9 billion in 2018. But per capita GDP in US dollars has come down from 4,104 in 2017 to 4,102 in 2018, mainly because of the effect of depreciation.
Speaking further, Dr. Amarasekara further elaborated on the GDP figures of Sri Lanka.
Within this GDP, the agriculture sector, which grew at a negative 0.4% in 2017, recovered and grew at 4.8% in 2018. The services sector, which grew at 3.6% in 2017, grew at 4.7% in 2018. But the industry sector, which grew by 4.1% in 2017, grew at a much slower pace of 0.9% in 2018, mainly because of the contraction in the construction sector. Overall GDP growth was at 3.2% in 2018.
Dr. Amarasekara also stated that inflation is expected to remain below 5% in the short term and between 4 to 6% in the medium term.
Inflation edged up during the first 3 months of 2019, mainly due to the increase in non-food inflation. CCPI-based year-on-year headline inflation is at 4.3% in March compared to 4% in February. And CCPI-based year-on-year core inflation is at 5.6% in March compared to 5.4% in February. And the NCPI-based inflation numbers are available only up to February. In February, NCPI-based year-on-year headline inflation was at 2.4%, and NCPI-based core inflation was at 5.5%. Inflation is expected to remain generally below 5% in 2019 and in the 4 to 6% range in the medium term.
Time for us to go for a short commercial break. Do stay tuned for more news after this. Welcome back. Introducing another feature for investments and to enhance awareness of investors in the government securities, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, which operates and maintains the Lanka Secure System, has introduced an SMS email alert service from the 25th of March 2019. The SMS email alert is a service that sends real-time notifications to investors in government securities for each and every movement of scriptless securities in customer securities accounts. Real-time notifications can either be in the form of an email or a short message service SMS, or both, based on the customer's or investor's preference. To enable the alert service, custodian institutions or licensed commercial banks or primary dealers are required to record the customer's or investor's preferred method of notification along with relevant contact details in the Lanka Secure System. This SMS email alert facilitates an added service to the regular confirmations sent to customers as printed statements by Lanka Secure System and the online viewing facility currently available to the investors. The 6th Indo-Sri Lanka Defence Dialogue was held yesterday in Colombo with the participation of the Indian Defence Delegation led by India's Defence Secretary Sanjay Mitra. Since its inception in 2012, the Indo-Sri Lanka Defence Dialogue reviews the entire scope of defence cooperation between the two countries while expanding its activities into new areas of interest. During the meeting, lengthy discussions were held between the Indian Defence Delegation and its Sri Lankan counterparts on matters of mutual interest and bilateral defence cooperation. Secretary to the Ministry of Defence in Sri Lanka, Hemasiri Fernando, the Deputy High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka's Chief of Defence Staff, Commanders of the Army, Commander of the Navy, Chief of Staff representing the Commander of the Air Force, senior officials of both defence ministries, and military representatives of both parties took part in the annual meeting. In an exclusive interview with Art Television, Chairman of the Jetwing Symphony PLC, Hiran Kure, states that Sri Lanka's infrastructure development should be done for local citizens first and foremost.
We talk of roadways, we talk of other transportation modes, right? Forget everything else, the airport. You begin with the airport. The airport is for the Sri Lankans. If there are 8 million people who are coming and going through that airport, 6 million are Sri Lankans. So shouldn't we be given the first place there, right? There has to be definitely a separate line for the Sri Lankans, including our housemates who are still the number one foreign exchange earner for this country. When they come back after 2 or 3 years of hard labor in the Middle East, shouldn't we give them a right of place, right? Similarly, our transportation, our infrastructure development must be geared for the Sri Lankans and the foreigners who come, maybe for a week, 10 days, 1 month, be that whatever the number of days they spend, they will enjoy it.
Speaking further, Hiran Kure states that a comprehensive railway system is the key to enhancing the efficiency of travel within the country.
I'd like to see a fantastic train network, and Colombo Kandy should be faster than 2.5 hours. Colombo Galle should be faster than 3 or 3.5 hours, right? So then it's easier for people to move, do their work, come back. And being a warm tropical country, ideally air-conditioned carriages must be there so that people don't sweat, no dust get into their eyes, and they can focus, they can do work, concentrate, and move on.
Hiran Kure also says that the attitude change required to protect local assets must be inculcated from school level onwards.
So the attitude change has to happen in a long-term basis, right? You start in school and then you carry it through. So there has to be a huge education process. And then the other is through the religious orders. We are a very strong Buddhist country. Through the temple, through the church, through the kovil and the mosque, right? Use them to communicate to the people and, being civic conscious. So through the schools and the different religious orders we have, we must communicate this message to look after the assets we have and get better and better.
Stocks ended in the red once more. Let's take a look at more details after this short commercial break. Welcome back. Trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The All Share Price Index dropped 11.80 points to close at 5,583.66, and the S&P SL 20 dropped 0.67 points to close at 2,720.41. Turnover was 187.6 million rupees and 14.6 million shares were traded. Now let's take a look at today's forex rates. And that's all the news we have for you today. Do join us tomorrow at the same time for more of the very latest. Until then, take care. Good night.